first question from the audience is about zoning. And Mr. Testerman, we'll start with you for this one. Schools where the majority of students live in poverty almost always struggle as a result of intergenerational poverty and its effects. Are either of you in favor of a plan to redraw district lines to break up zones of concentrated poverty instead of keeping poor children together in schools that then become low-performing as a whole? This would enable both racial and economic diversity in schools.
Well, I see a conflict of some of our goals. Strong community schools, but then also allowing children to go elsewhere. I think we can do both. I really do. I remember a time, and this was only in the old county school, we had what was called open enrollment. If you lived in Soddy Daisy and you were working in Chattanooga and you rode by Red Bank High School, and Red Bank High School had availability for your child to go there, you could enroll the child. Now when it reached the maximum number and it became too large, they had to call the open enrollment. But after that first few days of school, if you wanted to go to another school, all you had to do was get there, and you were allowed to go to another school. When I was principal at Westview Elementary School, probably during the last years that we had open enrollment, I could have had 1,200 kids if I wanted them. Just didn't have the room for them. I already had 25 not mobile homes, they were just buildings that someone had erected that built back 20 years that were supposed to be temporary, but they permanent temporary buildings. It was open enrollment. Folks from East Brainerd would come there. Folks that lived out Appleton would come there. Ooltewah would come there because it's on their way to work. Made sense. Mom and dad could drop the kids off, pick them up on the way back. County school started something years ago, and I think it should be expanded. It was called child care. Child care from 6 to 6. Child care from 6 to 6 gave an opportunity to have open enrollment schools. It was the thing that made it successful. We can do that again. That's why I'm just so excited about the learning communities that are going to come our way. I'm encouraging our superintendent to consider open enrollment if it can help children that are not being successful in the school they're attending. I think we need to give it another shot. I really do. Other things that we can do, transportation. I did this at White Oak Elementary School. Had children that did not have transportation. They could not catch a bus. They lived on the other side of Chattanooga just about. We worked with a cab company in Chattanooga. We paid them through title funds so they could go by and pick up kids and bring them to their schools. We can solve it. We just got to get together, talk more about it. I think we got a superintendent that's willing to do some things, and we need to give it a try. Again, I take it back to our principals and our teachers. Speak up, folks, because I think you are the real leaders of your school.
Mr. Testerman, I'll let you keep the mic one more second. Would you be willing or open to the idea of redrawing district lines?
Well, let me say this. Anytime you say redrawing district lines, you cause a heartbeat to skip with many parents. I have problems in any time that we disrupt a child from one school and have to move into another. If we can grandfather like we have done in the past, I'm all for it. I think what we've got to consider is the communities, the teachers, and if there are schools here that wish, or any other school board people that wish to see those things happen, we should consider it. May I say, what has driven redistricting so far in my tenure on the school board has been growth in housing and communities. That's the one thing that is pushing it forward. I'll tell you folks, Chattanooga, Tennessee is on fire. Not literally, but I'm talking about housing and growth. When you get I mean, it's amazing to see this. I wish we had a member of the school board on the planning commission. It should be mandatory. There should be somebody that's on that planning commission that said you're going to build 1,500 houses and we do not have a school there. Well, wait a minute, guys, we need to build a school too. Some of these things has got to be done with better planning, better timing, and with better foresight.
Mr. McClendon, I'm going to direct the question to you too. I just want to make sure we're listening to the integrity of the question from the audience, because the specific question is, are you in favor of a plan that would redraw the districts?
I think like Mr. Testerman said, when you say redistricting, it throws a wrench in people's plan, and you're moving kids from this school to that school. So if we can grandfather them in like we have in the past, then I think that could be something we look at. It would have to, depends on the plan before I would say I would support it. But it was something I would look at and strongly support that we do a study on, or we look at how it's going to affect these communities and whatnot. I think just going on the redistricting line, or the lines that they are now, without the whole socioeconomic and racial stuff. I lived, Brainerd Hills, and I'm zoned for Ooltewah. I'm 5 minutes from Tyner, and I have to drive 15, 20 minutes to Ooltewah every single day to go to school. So I think there's common sense kind of stuff that could be changed, and I think when we look at that, we can also look at how we can make these communities and these schools more diverse and more inclusive of all these communities, because I think it just makes the schools stronger, and it lifts the students that need to be lifted up, it lifts them up, and it also gives the students that come from well-off families, I think it gives them a perspective, and it teaches them a lot too, and it just brings worlds together. And I also think this is something I'm going to bring up, and I think it's just crazy and absurd that it isn't, but we have to have someone either from the board, if it's the chairman, if it's someone from central office, on the planning commission, because I'm from East Brainerd, I've lived there. The growth out there in Appleton and Ooltewah, Collegedale is just, you see these subdivisions that are gonna have 150, houses in them. Well, we opened up East Brainerd Elementary, day one it was capacity. They're gonna have to do something about that in a couple years. We're already, I guess East Hamilton's 8 years old now, 9 years old. They're having to already build a new middle school. So I think if we look at redistricting, we look at being smart with how we do it with the planning commission, I think it is definitely something that I would look at. I'm not going to say I'm in favor for it right now just because of whatever plan it could be. I'm not going to it could be something I don't like, but I like another plan. So I'm just going to say it's something I will consider, I will look at, I will advocate for, and then when the time comes we have a plan, I'll bring in community input. What do you want at East Bridge Elementary? Do you like this at East Ridge High School? Do you like this at Barnard?
CSLA is one of the most successful schools in this county and in the state of Tennessee and in this nation. I have fought till my knuckles were raw to get a brand new K-12 CSLA on the property that it's at. It didn't happen. Did not happen. That was a dream that I thought would be the diamond in the necklace of this county, and probably this state. But may I say this, we will have one, and there is going to be room. We're moving from a K-8 to a K-12. There's going to be room for a couple more hundred kids to get one of the best quality educations public school can offer. Chattanooga School for the Arts and Science, just down the street here. I don't know how you do it. We need to replicate these things more and more and more, and support them, with transportation. Carter Bus Company, I see them drive by schools every day. I wish they'd give free tokens to kids to go to school. Thank you.
Mr. McClendon, I'll give you a minute.
Yeah, something I didn't mention is open enrollment. I am a big proponent of that. I spent probably 2 weeks last summer renovating Rivermont Elementary. One of my friends called up and said, hey, they're completely redoing the school. I need help. They're painting. And so I spent about 8 hours a day for a week and a half up on a ladder painting tubes so they look like Mario World or something like that. I saw parents come in and they were doing open enrollment. And I mean, just the joy that the kids saw when they saw what we were doing, the parents, what they said it meant to them. I think open enrollment can be a very powerful tool for us. I think there's a lot of these people that we're talking about, the poverty, concentrated poverty, they don't have the means to transport them. So I think that's something we have to look at. It's very expensive to bus students, but I think through these strategic goals and these strategic plans, we can work this in. You know, it might not be right away, but it might be a process that we kind of work in, you know, a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year kind of thing, where we kind of give every student the opportunity to attend a school that they want to.